Good morning, team. It is Tuesday, June 15th. I hope you all are having an amazing start to summer. I'm Amy Core, and I'm joined by Kevin Van Act, and we are live out of the Goose Island office. Thanks for joining us. Grab your coffee, your tea, or if you're like me and trying to slim down, your lemon water, and let's jump into another episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin.
Yes, good morning, Amy. Good morning, everyone. I've got coffee. I hope you have yours, or lemon water, like Amy said. But let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. We've been going 100 miles an hour for the last 6 months, right? Maybe longer, depending on what market we're in. And now that the world is opening up a bit, people are tending to focus on getting their lives back. So this may give us a little bit of a breather going into the summer. So what are we going to do with that time? Well, I think right now it's an opportunity to prepare to make sure that the rest of our year is as busy as it has been, regardless of what happens in the market. So Amy and I have a few ideas on how we can get started.
That's right. Thanks, Kevin. And as we move into the second half of the year, I think we need to refresh our focus on the power of first impression. But let's face it, it's actually the power of impression. You know, we always focus on the first impression, the first time that we're talking with somebody. But when we think about sales or engaging with clients or people who may become our clients, it's a lot of micro commitments or a lot of micro interactions. So we really should be thinking about, what does my first impression look like, my second, my third, and so on. So what you want to think about is, can my impressions be better right now? I think so many of us are moving in so many different directions. And I think we're also, let's face it, kind of tired from, the past 6 to 12 months. But I think as we're moving into summer, the market is slowing down, maybe just a smidge. And so what we want you to do is take a step back and start thinking about, what can I be doing better so that the second half of my year is going to be successful? And I want you to start thinking about, can I be embracing some of the tools that are in my tool belt right now to make sure that as I move forward, the power of my impression is even better. Remember, it is your value proposition, and it is you answering the question from every potential client. Why should I work with you? Why is it going to make a difference for me? And so those are the things that you need to be thinking about as you head into the second half of this year.
That's right. So we'll start with number one. Backtracking into what Amy said just for a second, we don't want anyone to be afraid that we're talking about the market slowing down, right? Each one of you has your own experience. Each one of you, half of you may be thinking, what slow down? The other half of you might be nodding your head as we talk about this. Here's the jam. You can control what happens in your market based on what you do now, based on the marketing, based on the exposure, based on how you treat your past clients and referral sources. I just want to make that really clear because we don't want to start a rumor that the market is slowing. But what we do want to encourage you to do is take this moment to prepare. And that's number one. Look back over your transactions. Go to the MLS, go to the DMS, go to wherever you keep track of your transactions and pull a transaction list. Think through all of the successes that you've created in each one of those transactions. A good example of this would be multiple offer situations. Another example would be being creative when writing offers for a buyer, or being creative when working with an appraisal that didn't come back where it should have. Being creative in marketing a property that maybe isn't as mainstream as some of the other listings that were out there, and being able to get engagement from buyers and get it sold. Take a moment, go through all of your transactions and think about each one of the steps in those transactions where you created success for your buyer or seller. And those become the success stories that you share to show the value you provide. As Amy said, how do you articulate your value? People relate well to stories. Create the stories from the transactions and success you've created over the last 6 to 12 months. This is also a great opportunity to look into whether or not you got a testimonial from these clients, and a great time to follow up with them if they haven't.
Yes, Kevin, I think it is so important, the power of storytelling. It's clients that you're trying to gain really link and latch on to the stories of and the experiences of past clients. So such a great thing to do right now is to start thinking about your news stories that all happened in this really active new market right now. The second thing that we want to talk about is the idea of show, don't tell. And here's the thing, you can tell people that you are the #1 broker in your community, or that you have been the best at something as it relates to selling, but they don't really love that as much as you showing them how great you are. And one of the best ways that you can do that is showing them through the collateral and the materials that you have available to create an amazing first impression. We have the brand new listing presentation that you're going to be able to drop off to them. And that's going to show them all of the stuff that you can offer to create an amazing experience when you sell their home. And then in addition to that, you can include things like your agent branded book that actually shows them how great you are at marketing yourself, which is going to show them really how great you're going to be at marketing their property. And if you don't have an agent branded book yet, that is okay. You can use things like a gatefold, or you can create a flyer or a trifold, just to think about how am I going to be putting something together that can actually articulate my value and show them the amazing things that I have done. And what you can include in some of those are some of the stories or the testimonials that you've gotten from past clients who have absolutely loved working with you. So start thinking about right now, as I'm moving into the second half of the year, what tools and resources can I be using so that instead of telling them I'm great, I'm actually showing them. That's going to have a much better and a longer lasting impression.
That's so great, because just telling people leads to what? Skepticism, and people think that you're giving them your opinion. These are all great things because the proof is in what you're showing them, right? So great points, Amy. I think the number 3 that we want to cover that we talked about comes to digital technology. And here's a suggestion. When it comes to digital technology, it sounds like we're in 2001 and the .coms and like it's something new. But here's what we need to do with technology is we need to think outside of the box when we use it. A lot of times when we're given a technology like email marketing, let's say at App Properties, the e-campaign, we put it inside a box where it's only to be used for just listed, just sold, open houses, whatnot. Here is the reality. You can use these tools outside of that box. And one of the ways that we want to suggest using the e-campaign is for follow-up. It's for follow-up after you've met a client. It's for follow-up after a meeting. It's for follow-up where you can create a custom e-campaign and be able to deliver information in a way that shows your value and is presented unlike how every other agent may be sending them information. After a listing presentation, you have to think through, what is an agent sending, the typical agent sending to that potential seller? It's probably an email with a bunch of attachments, if that. Think outside the box and use the technology available to us to be able to send information in a different way. And that goes back to the DLP. Amy just talked about the listing presentation and dropping it off before your appointment. It's the same as the digital listing presentation. The digital listing presentation is differentiating from its very core, meaning nobody else has it. And if you don't have a digital listing presentation because you're not with App Properties, find a way to deliver information to the seller immediately as soon as you have the appointment set. And that is the differentiation, using the tools available to differentiate, deliver it in a differentiated way so that you stand out. Again, whether it's before a listing presentation or after a listing presentation, the average agent does nothing. But if they do, it's typically an email with a bunch of attachments. And you can differentiate yourself by using digital technology to deliver that information to make a lasting impression, whether it's before or after meeting them.
Such great points. And what I love about that, Kevin, is somebody can create an e-campaign. And once you've done it for one client, you can use it as a template. And so it's really easy to swap out a few different things and then use it again. Because the whole idea of technology is to make things easier for you so that when you repeat things over and over again for your business, you can do it very quickly. So I love the e-campaign. I feel like I've been using it kind of outside the box for so much messaging that I'm sending on. I know we're using it for coaching and training, and I've also done it for personal emails that I've wanted to send out that look super professional. So the last thing that I want to talk about are grand gestures. And I absolutely love this concept because I feel like it really differentiates you, and it is really the power of developing strong relationships. Now, grand gestures, we want to talk about the idea of rewarding the people that have gotten us this far. Let's think about it. How many referrals have you gotten from past clients this year? How many people have really helped you grow your business? And we know that you appreciate them, but sometimes what happens in a super busy market like this, we don't really have time to thank them appropriately. But here's the thing. If we don't thank them when we're supposed to, what are the odds that they're going to continue to support your business in the manner that you want them to? So think about grand gestures. And again, this market is super busy, but it's midway through. Let's take a deep breath and let's figure out, do I have my systems set up so that I can present or give grand gestures easily? And grand gestures, when I'm talking about that, I mean gifting, right? Whether or not whenever you get a referral from somebody, maybe you get a $50 gift card from the local cupcake shop or the local coffee shop or Starbucks, whatever it is that you might be gifting or giving out, really as a thanks for supporting your business, you want to think about it ahead of time and buy in bulk, because that way, when it's time to create a grand gesture and thank somebody, you already have the materials. So get the gift cards, get the note cards, get the wrapping paper, figure out what your system is. And I know that it sounds silly, but it makes all the difference in the world, right? Because how many of us as agents have had that thought as we're driving around and somebody's name comes into our mind and we think, I need to do something for them because they just referred a client to me. What you want to be able to do is, instead of saying, you can simply say, great, I can go back to the office and I've got something to send out to them today. So think about the grand gestures. They're so important in maintaining and furthering your relationships. And let's face it, we are in a relationship-driven business. The stronger the relationships you have, the bigger your business is going to get.
I love all of that. And specifically being prepared, because if you don't have it on you, it makes it so much more difficult to do it, right? So buying in bulk, being prepared. I just want to show something because I do practice what Amy is preaching. I am set with holiday cards already. And also, this is a Father's Day card, right? Guess when I bought it? 4 years ago.
I was going to say 2 years ago.
Yeah. I'm holding on to this one. I'm ready for this weekend.
Kevin is good at grand gestures. I've been noticing in the last year of officing next to him. He's pretty good.
But I still have a lot of work to do. So thank you for joining us today. Make it a wonderful day. Take some time. If it is slowing down for you just a touch, you're still running like crazy, but take some time at mid-year to really make sure that you're taking advantage of all the ways that you can create that first impression.
That's right, team. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.